welcome to another episode on my podcast, The K Touch. Today I have two-time writer and publisher of children's books, Tope Umah, the same lady who published ABC, The Bible Way. She has now written another book titled My Day with Jesus. And I'm going to be talking with her today about her writing process, how she started. We're going to go into questions that you might be interested in getting answered with regards to a children's author. So please stay tuned. Tope, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here again. It's always a pleasure.
You're so nice. And I'm going to say the same thing I said before. The pleasure is ultimately my own. At the end of the day, do you know how special I am that this is, I want to confirm, is this your first interview since writing the second book?
Yes, it's writing the second book, yes.
So let's not even go let's not the truth is, at the end of the day, I'm the one who is most excited about this, so please just allow me to enjoy my excitement. I am going to crack on with the questions.
Alrighty.
So first of all, congratulations on your second book, My Day with Jesus. How does it feel?
It feels good. It was a long journey and definitely different from my first one, but I'm thankful that it's over. Not really over, but the process of publishing went through it successfully. So I'm glad.
Yeah. It was. You can't. I was so surprised. I can remember the text message you sent me when you had published the second book, and I was reading it as though it was still the first book. So I was just scrolling through it. But when I found out it was the second one, especially because it was just a few months after your my first interview with you, I was just so excited, beyond excited. And we're going to go into how that book makes me feel. But at the moment, let's just follow the natural questions. Okay. So you say that you feel really good that it's out there now.
Yes.
This is clearly a dream come true. So when did you first nurse the idea of writing this second book? Around what time, roughly?
I would say like maybe 2 years ago. About 2 years ago, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Did you think that it was going to be ready at this point, or did you expect it much earlier when you first nursed it?
Oh no! When I first nursed it, I didn't even know when I was gonna have it ready. But last year, like one of the vision board, you have a vision board, like things you wanna.
I don't know, Tope. You are more organized on these things than I am. So tell me about the vision board.
Oh yeah, so the vision board is where like you write like goals or things you want to accomplish for the particular year.
Okay.
It can be broken down quarterly or just more broad. So one of the things I put there was that I wanted to find an illustrator and graphic designer and get the process started. Like I entered it in 2024, like January, just kind of not like putting so much pressure, but let's just get this thing started. But then at the same time, I know that the illustration process would take anywhere from 6 to 9 months. So by the end of last year, I was hoping to be published.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's a nice one.
I had to put it on that vision board so I could do it, because otherwise I would have kept postponing it.
Maybe that's the reason I haven't gotten my own books. I don't have any wind behind me because I don't have a vision box. Okay, so it feels really good. But now I've talked about the second book. I'm going to rewind you a bit to the first one because I really want to see how this process has gone so far.
Okay.
ABC, The Bible Way. I'll take you back to when it was first conceived. I just want to know how long, roughly, you've been interested in the idea of being a children's book writer.
How long? I think maybe when I got married, and then, which was like about 10 years ago, with 11 years in next month. So maybe like about 10 years ago, the thought of like having kids and wanting to teach them about God. I think that's what nursed the idea of being a children's book writer.
Yeah.
But in terms of like writing, like I've been writing for a very long time. Like even in when was that? Like I can remember like it's maybe 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Wow.
That's like what, 12
or
11. I used to write poems. Like I had a poem book. I mean, like, and I would write all kind of poems, but it wasn't children related. I've been writing for a while now.
Okay.
to write or anything, but I always had liked writing.
Oh wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
you've not you but with regards to the actual publishing of children's books, you've had it the idea for about a decade now, you say. That's
Yes,
very
about a decade. Yeah, I think that's when the idea came out. Yeah, to
well. This
me.
is evidence that it really sometimes doesn't. You don't have to have it result your idea or whatever manifest immediately. Sometimes it takes a process between when you
Yes,
first conceive it to when it comes out. Okay,
that's correct. Yeah.
but again, still with this process, how do you find the time to do
Mm-hmm.
this? Because I know you're a mother, you work as well. I do the same, and sometimes I wonder how I can fit in all of that and bring out a product. But here, you've not just done one; you've done two. So, how do you
Right.
find the time to get all this done?
Well, I think it comes with like passion. If you're passionate about something, you will create time for it. I mean, that's what I believe.
Hmm.
And in terms of how do I find the time to be more practical, it's like is I'm just sitting down. If I'm sitting down waiting for something and an idea pops in my head, then I just have my phone. I write it down. Because that's what creative thing about creativity is that you can create. Especially with writing, you can write
Hmm.
anywhere as long as you have a pen and paper or some kind of device to write. So the ideas usually come maybe when I'm sitting somewhere or I'm thinking, or it could be that even that. I mean, there's a sermon going on, and I'm like, how can I make this, more like easy for kids to understand. And sometimes also comes from like I teach kids at my church, and then I constantly trying to break down a particular kind of topic for them to understand. So that's why I come up with ideas and inspiration to write.
So, in other words, you teaching in the Sunday school
Mm-hmm.
did did contribute. It's not what started it, but that experience with being around children in that capacity helped develop the idea.
Yes, it helps a lot. Yeah, it helps a lot develop the ideas from my book. My first
Oh.
book, however, was really more so my son, um, because I was looking for, like I said, you know, alphabet representations that are in the Bible that he could relate with. So that
Hmm.
way, I'm not teaching him the alphabet. Like okay, A is for Adam, but what does Adam mean to him? I know he's a human being, but something that he can relate with ants, for example. He knows what an ant is. That was back then. So you take him out, do things related to ants. So you're teaching him the Bible as well as learning, life, life related things as well as
Yeah.
learning the alphabet. So that was the whole idea of that.
So that's interesting. I'm sorry, I'm still fascinated with the idea because you've taken observing something. You've literally you define this is a clear example of you observe an issue, not a problem necessarily, but you observe
Right.
it and then you've made a solution to it.
Right.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
Thank you.
Okay. But okay, that's you finding the time. But when you started the process itself, I want to know when you actually because you nursed it for a while. But
Mm-hmm.
when did you now bite the bullet for you as a children's author? When did you now say, you know what, it's time to start this?
Okay, so I may not yet get the years back, like the year
Hmm.
correctly,
Okay.
because I published ABC the Bible in 2020.
That
I
was
would
around the
say,
pandemic. The pandemic was.
yeah, I think the pandemic gave me time for even more things. Yeah, I think that helped too.
Hmm.
But I would say maybe 2018, 2019, 2018. I kept thinking about it, like it just kept being a nudging feeling because that time my son was like 1+ already. I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm doing an alphabet book. This is what you're writing. You're supposed to be writing the book for. He's about to pass learning the alphabet. What are you doing? So I kept having that
Wow.
reminder, like you need to get this book out. You need to get this book out. So I didn't know how to go about it, and that was another problem. Sometimes I don't know how to go about something. That's what slows you down in getting
Yeah.
things ahead. Yeah. So then I started. Then I think around that 2018, 2019 was when I started. Like, you know what? I need to do research. I met someone randomly, a friend's friend that came visiting,
Hmm.
and I found out he was studying graphic design
Okay.
in in school. So that kind of kicked it off. I'm like, oh, do you know about illustration? She's like, yeah, she illustrates. So from there now I kind of built the courage to
Hmm.
start like researching and things like that. I started off with her, but then you know diverted to
Yeah.
someone else. But that I feel like that's when me meeting her was what kind of kicked off actually getting started, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Yeah,
And you said about the the process itself, how you not knowing how to start it, but
right.
starting it eventually when you make the right connections with people. And I think that's what slows down a lot of people because they are so
Exactly.
overwhelmed by the process that
Mm-hmm.
they don't know how to go about it. So now
Right.
let's talk about the process, your process of writing children's books between the first and the second. Has anything changed, or okay, let's just start with the process itself, a summary of
Mhm.
how you go about from start to finish.
Sure. I mean, before you can get started with anything, you have to come up with the idea of what you want, right?
Hmm.
And depending on the type of the book you're writing, will determine how you plot out the story.
Yeah.
But the basic thing is that you have to have a manuscript, and the manuscript basically is what the book is about, the story.
Hmm.
You have to have it written somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the days of technology, it's better you type it on the computer.
Yep. Yep.
Because otherwise, if you write it down, then you still need to type it on the computer to send it
At the end
across.
of the day, yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So once you write, so I tell people like, I don't know, I'm not good at writing, blah blah blah. I'm not great at writing either. But what I do is like, that shouldn't stop you or hinder you from putting out what you believe that the world needs to see.
Yep.
So once you write your manuscript, doesn't matter whatever comes to your head, you just put it down. From there, you flush it out, keep flushing
Hmm.
it out, flushing it out. And once you feel like it's ready, not ready for publishing, but ready to be seen by like others, you can have um people look at it. And I
Yep.
say, I could say your close, like family members or friends that have the same kind of likeness for things you're, involved in. Because if you share it with someone that doesn't care about children's book,
No, they'll just, it'll be discouraging, wouldn't it?
yeah, this is be discouraging. Yes. So you can just share to kind of see, um, what they think about it.
Yep.
So there's no like direct cuts to it. You can do that before you do the next thing I'm going to talk about, or you can do the editing first before you do that. But the
Okay.
reason I like to do the manuscript and sharing with people, like that first of all the audience that would be reading the book, as well as those that would be interested. So
Hmm.
for me, with children's book, so like parents of children of that age, I could share with. I've forgotten what you call the term for it, but just trying to make sure that what you're about to put out there is would be consumed by people that you want it to be consumed by. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I do.
So once you're done with that, two things in sharing out your manuscript, you want to let them sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, right?
Oh, okay.
Just so that
You
people,
actually did something like that.
I did because except,
Wow.
except like a family member,
No, no,
but
no, I
like
get that. No, 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 I get that. It's just I've never, and I've written 2 books. But I don't know what you are saying right now. This is new information. So I'm learning
yeah.
as well. Yeah.
So non-disclosure agreement is basically stating that they agree to read your stuff and whatever you ask them to do with it, but they don't, they are not to share it with anybody else or use
Hmm.
it for
Hmm.
their own purpose. Essentially, that's what it is. Like a two-pager. So they sign it, and then they read your book, and sometimes they would read it to their kids also,
Yeah.
and let if they feel like it's good or not. I
Hmm.
also share it with fellow authors too that are
Yeah.
children authors, so they can be like, I don't think this is, or this is great. So once I was done with that, that's the manuscript process and writing it, then I send it to an editor. It's very important to have it to a professional editor. And
Okay.
there are different types of editors. There are ones that do proofreading, one that do line editing,
Yeah.
developmental editing, and all that. I'm not going to go into more details of that, but
Yeah.
if you're getting started with just editing your manuscript, you want someone who's going to do a line to line edit and a developmental edit, especially developmental, and depending on if your story has like a beginning, what's called a middle, and the
Yeah.
ending. The story
Yeah.
must
Yeah.
make
So if
sense.
it has a process to it, yeah.
Yes, but like my own story now is like ABC. There's no like this one happened, then that one happened, then this led to
Hmm.
this. Just and my second book somehow like that too.
Hmm.
So yeah, you need a line editor and a developmental editor. You want to make sure that you ask them what kind of editing services they offer, and
Okay.
in the same vein, also you want to give them an NDA to sign. And most of those professional editors, they already have their own NDA. They will let you know that, hey, I'm going to send you an NDA,
Wow.
and then you read it, you agree with it, you sign it over.
Wow.
Then once that is done,
Hmm.
there'll be back and forth between you and the editors. Once that is done, then you can start looking for an illustrator.
Hmm.
And I might say you can look for an illustrator while you're editing or um after you're done editing.
Hmm.
You never want to get an illustrator before editing though, because once you meet a professional editor, your storyline may change somewhat,
Yep.
and you
Yep.
don't want to start drawing just for the you to go and tell the illustrator, oh, that's not what is in this page. That again, you're
Hmm.
wasting your money and you're wasting their time as well as yours. So
Okay.
once you're done with the editing process, and everything is good, then you can start searching for illustrators.
Wow.
I keep going.
Oh, no, no, no. I think at some point we're going to
Okay, so
hit some other
yeah,
basic areas. But that's
yeah.
really interesting. I know that as part of the process, you also joined a few groups
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook. How helpful was that?
Oh, very helpful, especially the first time. It was really, really helpful
Hmm.
when the Facebook group was what it was, where they were very, they were very helpful in that group. But things have, changed since that time, But back then, when they were super, super helpful, I've joined this Facebook group for children's book illustrators. I mean, sorry, writers and illustrators are there also.
Okay.
And they were very supportive. You ask questions, concerns, you
Hmm.
know, and things like that. I didn't know anything about NDA too, by the way, until I joined the group.
Wow.
Um, and I also met someone who does a work group.
Hmm.
People who want to be authors, so you
Hmm.
sign up for this workshop, and they'll hold you hands on, and help you through the whole process. Share their own list of recommended illustrators, recommended editors.
Hmm.
So there's no fear of being scammed or anything.
Okay.
That was what I did the first time, which was really, really helpful. Like,
Hmm.
was very helpful. And then you have the support of people that are going through the journey with you together. It was just a beautiful experience.
Wow.
That whole period, yeah. So
Wow.
that was
And then again, this is for people who might be interested in the process. Sorry, I keep dwelling so much on the process itself.
no problem.
What about um, companies or groups like Fiverr? Do you think those would be useful as well, where people give those kinds of services? Do you have any experience with getting services from that?
Oh yeah, I do have
Okay.
experience with Fiverr.
Hmm.
I use it for very like minor projects.
Okay.
Like when I was doing like my music production for my second book.
Okay.
The person who did the
You did
singing.
a music Tope, you're amazing me because I'll say
I
again.
don't think you didn't necessarily have to do this, but me, I just like to do extra, sometimes. And a
Oh
lot of
no,
people
Tope, no,
do
honestly,
book
you
trailers
seem to
too,
be
by the
doing the
way.
right. You
Huh?
seem to be doing it as it's supposed to be done. I would just do a book, one, two, three. It's already ready. It's out there. I feel like I've achieved something. But you are mentioning steps I never even imagined.
Yeah, and that was because I joined this workshop. I would never have known these things too.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, so Fiverr, to answer your question directly, you need to be very, very careful with Fiverr.
Hmm.
Not to say that there are not good people out there that will do the
Okay.
right thing, but you need to do a lot of research.
Hmm.
Now, if you reach out to someone you see is interested in, that is good, looks good to you, you want
Yeah.
to ask a person certain questions. Okay, what books have you published?
Hmm.
What children's book have you illustrated, for example?
Yep.
And they will tell you. Then you say, okay, do you have anyone that's on Amazon?
Hmm.
Type them up, and you find them on Amazon.
And confirm it. Yeah.
Yes, and you can read. You can get a copy of the book, e-copy, and see if you like that style that way.
Okay.
So that's one way you can do that. Because
Wow.
the other problem, because there's AI isn't, AI is taking over certain
Hmm.
things. People are going to use some illustrators will say that they're not using AI, but they are. So even if you ask them to do a sample for you,
Hmm.
they might use AI, and if you're not quick to know it, you might be
Hmm.
deceived. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the first time I did get someone use clip art from Google, and somebody
Hmm.
just told me to search the image, and I saw that image on Google.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for that.
So
That's useful
yeah,
information,
so that's
actually.
something we want to be mindful of. But other than that, another good way to find an illustrator, since we are talking about platforms, is on
Hmm.
these Facebook groups. On these Facebook groups, you can find an illustrator there. There are
Hmm.
also scammers out there too.
Yep.
However, one way you can do is the same process I just mentioned, or ask fellow authors,
Hmm.
what illustrator would you recommend?
Hmm.
Or if you see that somebody published a book on the Facebook group and you like the person's style, on the book there's always the name of the illustrator. You can
Yeah.
search. and
Yeah.
find it that way.
But that actually took me to my next question, which is basically with all this information you are giving, I hope you don't have any issues with people of the audience contacting you to ask and inquire a bit more with you about the process of and recommendations from you. But then
So,
my last question on your process is the cost. Can you roughly give a I know you're smiling from
yes, I'm smiling because I just looked into the course last week.
Okay, so what are you looking at generally? Give us a ballpark figure. What should people be thinking?
Okay, for a children's book quality,
Hmm.
I would say when I'm giving the course, it's based off like everything, not just illustration, editing, and other things, miscellaneous things.
Yeah.
I would say so far I spent close to $4,000
Okay.
so far.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
about to say but let me just cool down.
People are spending $10,000 on this thing, but yeah, for about close to 4,000 now in this process. And what takes the bulk of the expenses really is the illustrating piece.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess in a way, if you think about it, it might look like a an insurmountable amount to spend, but I guess you don't have to spend it all at once. It's something you can plan and budget towards,
Right.
and tick off boxes and say, okay, when it comes to this point, this is what I need to spend, so I'll spend that amount of money. It's not like you have to cough out 4,000 immediately.
No, you don't have to. You can start first and say, okay, this year I'll just work on editing. Editing is like I think like the least expensive in the process. And it depends on the kind of editor too. If you're looking for an editor that is, 500 Grammy star, whatever, you know what I'm saying. But people that know their job, but they're not necessarily famous or whatnot,
Yep, yep,
then
yep.
get it. So the prices vary. You can start with the editing part, which is the preliminary thing for the process, anyways, and have that and start saving up. Your illustration piece might take anywhere from $2,000 to 5,000. Illustration by itself. 2,000 is the lower end one. You
Okay.
don't expect great things happening with $2,000 illustrations. But yeah, so you depending on your budget will determine how the illustration is gonna be.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about the technicalities. I want to take a moment to share how I felt. I read your first book and I was amazed. I was amazed at the structure. I was amazed at the coherence, how it flowed
Right.
with the alphabet, and I was genuinely pleased with the book. My children loved it as well.
Thank you.
However, with this second book, I will lie not to you. The warmth was on a different level. It was something that I could not help but relate to, and I think it was probably because with the first book, the examples were there. I understood it. I loved every part of it, but it was hard putting my feet in David's shoes. It was
Right.
hard putting my feet in Noah's shoes. But now you're giving me something which is basically parents and their relationship with their children. I melted when I saw it because I saw a lot of me in the father, and I saw a lot of my wife in the mother, a lot of my children in the child as well. So please share with us what you felt when you were getting this book together.
Yeah, so the manuscript piece of it, the inspiration was my son and also the kids. And for me, growing up, maybe when I was younger, I didn't really think about Bible being relatable. I just felt like you go to church, you have to do the necessary thing. I'm afraid of going to hell, so I have to follow the commandment.
You're afraid of going to
Yes.
fire, fire, fire.
Hellfire. There's no like relationship piece to it, right? But then as I got older and I understood relationship, I was like becoming a parent. I was my desire, my earnest desire, is that not just my kid, but people that I encounter and even beyond that have a relationship with God. And they can only have a relationship with God if they understand that relating with God is not something so far fetched. It's like talking to God on a regular. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So writing that thing, it just felt so good because in my mind I'm thinking, okay, how can I express the presence of God throughout the day? You
Yeah.
know, for kids. And it's so real. And I'm going to give you an example. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but
No, no, please just flow. Just hearing you talk is you know this. Just continue.
thank
Yeah.
you. So, like, like for my son now, like I always tell him, like, if let's say you're in pain, just say pain go away in Jesus' name, or you're scared, do blah blah, and we do it as we're going out. So one of the days, because you're scared of riding going down the hill with with his scooter, because he had an accident before. So he sat down and said, "Wait, mommy, I want to say a prayer." And I've never been outside to tell him to say a prayer when you're
Yeah.
scared. So that touched me. Like, okay, so what I'm trying to do is
Yeah.
actually working. So he said his prayer all by himself, and then got up and to and rode the scooter. And that's from my understanding, I bet the spirit of fear must have gone in that
Yeah.
instance.
Yeah.
So that's so for me, I just find joy in doing that. I'm like hoping that a child can relate with this and see that Jesus is in everything that you do. You can call him to every aspect of your life to help you, and he will be there for you.
But Tope, that's not. I don't know what, because it's like the way I see it. You know how you go to a restaurant and you order in some food and they give you the food and you're like, this food is sweet. It's fine. I'll give it 2 stars, 3 stars. But then you make a statement like, but this is not how my mother makes it. I'm not
Right.
getting that same kind of vibe. But then you go somewhere, you taste, and it's like you can already remember your mother's cooking. So this book, I'm just wondering, when you were making it, did you add love spice or add warmth spice and mix it together in the ingredients? I'm just wondering how you were able to infuse that, because there was such a relational aspect to this book. It can only be brought about by someone who has encountered this before, or someone
Mm-hmm.
who's given this kind of deep thought to it. So I just don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
That's it. Is the what's it called? Is my life basically that I'm
Yeah.
portraying in some way or fashion in the book, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
It does.
and then also adding other things to it. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So, but you've told us about the warmth. I really loved reading this book. I recommend it, hugely recommend it to parents. And I love that it had scriptures in it, had all of this guidance for children, because at the end of the day, you want your children to have a sense of independence and ownership for their lives. And I think this is what
Right.
is going to teach them, that they can pray for themselves. And that is actually influencing the art that I'm making right now. When I was just talking to you, I remember this song from my childhood, and that's affecting the art that I want to make. But let me ask you a question about your plan, because I've seen the two books and I don't know if it was intentional on your part, but they look connected.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you have a gradual progression from a certain age category to another. Was this a conscious effort on your part, and are we expecting more things relating to when a child is older?
So I think your first question, it wasn't a conscious effort. No,
Really?
no, it
It
wasn't
looks
a conscious effort.
connected. It looks like these two are actually connected in that way.
Yeah, it's not actually. But I think if someone can say it's connected in that, like I said, the stories I write is kind of like as I'm dealing with, it's like motherhood, right?
Yeah.
And what I see maybe my son is struggling with, or what I see around me with the kids I'm with. So that kind of influences it, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, that's what kind of like inspired the story. But it wasn't like, hey, this time I'll write ABC the Bible with alphabets. The next one
Wow.
I'll write this one. It wasn't like I sat down and planned it.
But you
It's
must have thought about
that
it
way.
in a way and said, these things, they actually look connected.
I did not until until you said what you said. I'm like, oh yeah, they're kind of like are connected. No, I didn't think about it that way. No,
Wow.
but
Well,
that's interesting.
this is basically, you've already put yourself in that loop now. You're already on that road and on that journey. And I
Yeah.
can't wait to see what the next, you better not tell me this is your last book. I
I don't
can't wait to
know.
see what the next stage is going to be. And
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know if it will be connected because preteen books and teenager books that they're different. But I
yeah,
don't know if maybe around that time now,
yeah,
maybe things will have changed in how I see things. Because I tend to see things in very, very simple ways.
yep,
Um, so it's easier for me to kind of write to those things.
yeah,
I've always been about simplicity. I don't like things that are too complicated.
yeah.
So yeah, that's just been me.
But were you exposed to books like this when you were growing up? Because I'm really
Ah,
fascinated at how you um are able to just produce this level of communication with children through the book.
no, I was exposed to books, but not Christian-based books.
Okay, okay.
Yes, Enid Blyton was my favorite
Oh yes, famous
author.
five. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, I was not exposed to Christian-based book. I think that's the only other thing that drove my passion to do this thing. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
okay.
Yeah, except for my book of Bible story, that yellow book. Do you remember my book of Bible story?
Yes, I remember it. Yes. Yeah, 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 I remember it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so those like that was like the main thing. Other than that,
But
no.
you know, you've not even. I got a bit surprised when I went on Amazon. I actually Googled your name because the only time I've had encounter with your book is from links you've sent me. So I'd never
Oh,
actually searched your name. But when I Googled on Amazon, I'd seen that you had not only written books, you've written workbooks as well and published them.
yes,
Why
yes, yes.
haven't you shared that information?
Oh no, no, it's those ones. So the one that I wrote, the workbook that is related to the book,
Yeah.
yes. The other ones are just like doing low content things, trying to test the market to see,
Wow.
you can make extra with that. But that's really not my driving force.
Okay. Let
Yeah.
me ask you now because I'm hoping I can take advantage of this. Tope,
Mm-hmm.
do you struggle with imposter syndrome with your writing? Or have you gotten to a point now where you can tap your chest and say, I am a children book writer?
Hmm. Very good question. Um, it's half and half. And I'll say that because I'm not, people that have gone and studied English, correct? When they're right, you'll be like, yes, this person went to school. I'm not that person.
Okay.
So I think imposter syndrome might come in that light.
Hmm.
But separate from that, I can say, yeah, I'm a children's book author. I don't go around shouting it everywhere. If you
Hmm.
see me on Google, then that's okay. But yeah,
Wow. When did that realization hit you? Was it after the first book?
yeah, it was out of the first book one, and it was funny that I called my job. I was looking for I had issue with my computer,
Hmm.
and I called the help desk, and I said my name. I'm like, the guy was like, are you the author of ABC the Bible Way? I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah. I'm like, oh my god, that this is really the people out there that know that you wrote a book. You better be careful how you talking. Okay, but so so I'm like, wow, I put it out there, and
Yeah.
how I deal after that is really important. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that was like an eye opener for me. Like it could be anybody that I've picked up my book at this point and I've read the book.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Because I really, really, really struggle till now with imposter syndrome. But I can see that really it's something that everybody at one point or
Oh
the
yes.
checks to be sure and say, it's like it can be like a surreal feeling where you're like, okay, did I actually get this thing done? And is it really as good as people say it is? So I think that's part of the reason, just constantly checking yourself that you are actually as the quality that people ascribe to you. So, but I know you've explained your creative process
Hmm.
and how you thought about the idea of writing this book for such a long time. I mean, the first book you started thinking about it as far back as 2020, or rather started the process as far back as 2020. My question is, at any point in time, did you feel overwhelmed by what was going on, or were you in control of it and confident that you were going to get it through? Because a lot of people start the process but never really finish.
Well, good question. For the first book, if I can remember, I don't remember feeling so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
That again is because I was part of a workshop. So it was a little bit stressful because we met like, I think at least once a week for
Wow.
like hours or so.
To
Like,
discuss the process.
yes, we had people coming, different like illustrators, people
Wow.
that are involved in the process of writing a book. They will come in, you ask questions, it was like correct mentoring. So maybe that process it was like going to school.
Wow.
So yeah, that part was probably overwhelming. But they helped me through the process, so it wasn't. I didn't feel like what did I get myself into because
Hmm.
I had someone holding me by the hand. But the second book, on the other hand,
Hmm.
because it was 4 years later, so a
Hmm.
lot of things I learned I've forgotten.
Yep.
You take some notes, but it was a little bit more like, oh, geez, this process is definitely tedious and a
Hmm.
lot more work for me. So yeah, that's my experience with that.
Wow, that's interesting, and I hope maybe well, I can only hope that as part of this, you will provide mentorship, um, you know, some kind of mentorship to people who um, might also want to get their own content out there. It's good
Oh
to
yeah,
know that there's someone else who's kind of gone ahead to know what the process is and to advise them against the pitfalls and all of that.
definitely. I'm always open. Like people reach out to me and say they have an idea. I'm like, I'm kind of a person that I like to see people implement whatever they say, whatever
Mm,
goals they want to achieve. Don't just tell me if you're not ready, because
wow.
I will follow you.
Wow. Well, for me, I'm more of the when I hear people's what they want to do, I start getting more excited about it than they are.
Yeah.
And I think the role I want to play in their lives with regards to that is to be their number one fan, as it were,
Mm-hmm.
because we all need somebody like that. Now, I
Right.
can't be the one who would tell them because unless I have some understanding of it, I might just be able to give general advice or general nudging. But what the role I want to play is, oh, I've heard they've done this. It's not even that the product is ready, but they've conceived the idea. They're making steps towards it. You just see me start celebrating the steps that they're making.
Right.
That's the role that I feel I'm very comfortable playing, and I think everybody needs that in their life, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's talk a bit about your inspiration for the
Yes.
book. So, would you say there was any particular materials that inspired this? And at this point, I would also like to know if you have any writers of these kinds of materials that guide you, or is this just you and a very uncharted area?
That's not chatted. So I think to answer your question
Hmm.
specifically for Christian religious genre,
Hmm.
um, I don't have any
Yeah.
particular person that I'm saying I'm looking at and looking to,
Hmm.
up to and following their style or whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like we need more of those. I'm not saying they're
Yeah.
not out there; they are out
Hmm.
there. So that's why I'm always, if I hear that someone wants to write a children's book, Christian children's book, I'm always excited to help with the process. So no, I don't have a specific person that I'm following. I do
Okay.
have I do have some authors that do write Christian books, and
Hmm.
everybody's style is very, 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 very different. That I always look to support them. That
Hmm.
makes sense.
Hmm. Okay. Actually, yeah, and you are right. And it's not to say that such people don't exist, writing children's books and all of that. Maybe the thing is, um, the the awareness of such people is limited, and that's why you coming on this podcast and talking about your experience, I think is very useful, especially for anyone else who wants to, who has thought of the concept of that.
But
Um,
yes, it's
yeah.
really not far fetched at all. And I just want to encourage someone out there, but I think they don't have the fund.
Hmm.
You can learn how to illustrate if you have the gift of drawing yourself.
Hmm.
And other means you can find ways affordable illustrators. It's
Hmm.
gonna be expensive, but then also you don't have to print because also printing is one of the things that will cost a lot of
Yep.
money. You can decide to do something called print on demand, whereby you're not even spending
Hmm.
anything to upload your work.
Yep.
However, you would pay a certain amount, royalty. They'll give you a certain amount and all that. But that's another way to call expensive. You're thinking that this is so much money, I can't do it. It's very, very doable.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's good information there. So, Tope, what would you say was the easiest and the hardest part of writing this book?
My second book, My Day with Jesus.
Yes, please.
I think making sure that I'm staying in the present tense while I'm writing the book. Well, it's very intentional because a lot of kids, I mean, at this age, some of them don't understand past tense. So I was trying to make sure that I'm saying it like how they would understand it when they're talking. I think that was one thing that I had to kind of find a way to structure sentences to reflect that.
Okay.
That was one of the challenging things for me. And trying to keep it short and simple.
Okay. It was very short and simple and warm and all of that. It actually left me wanting for more, which is weird for a children's book because I'm not a child. And so I remember asking you when we had the chat after I'd read the book initially. I remember asking you about, is it possible to look at some other aspects with regards to children and listening to their parents, because it left me wanting more.
Wow.
So I think it's really, really good that you can get that kind of feeling after reading something. It's not, a book is not meant to be exhaustive, and I think that's what this book does. It's not exhaustive in what ways the children can learn how to pray, but it is a very good start, a very proper start actually. So the book is out there. I know you have plans to make both paperback and soft copy available. How's that process going at the moment, and how can we have access to your book?
Yes, so thank you for that. So currently we have the ebook version on Amazon.
Yep.
The physical copy is now on my website for pre-ordering.
Okay.
So that's going to run for, I believe, the next couple weeks. We're taking pre-orders, but it's only within the United States for the physical copy. Because shipping, by the time you pay for shipping, you will say why. Okay. I'm doing you guys a favor. The cost of shipping is worth more than the book itself. Okay. And as a human being myself, I won't do that. So, but I'm planning to we'll see how how the pre-order goes.
Yeah.
That will determine when I would release the paperback on the print on demand platform I talked about, which is KDP. So so that's where you can get it. www.lampleatbooks.com for pre-order.
Nice. That's what I wanted to hear. Yeah. Okay. So with that, I'm sure that people would have access to the soft copy.
Yes.
Okay. That's really cool. I want to go a bit further because this book, I've really enjoyed it that much. I want to go a bit further to read out some of the reviews from this book, and just how great it was. So I've got a review that says that the book is very well done. It was clearly made with love, as one cannot help but notice the careful story elements included in all the pages. The message is beautiful and presents a useful tool to encourage parents and children to pray. I also love how a portion of scripture is written in each scenario. I strongly recommend this. Now, that was one reviewer. Now, the second reviewer says, it's a sweet book. What a sweet book. I love the uplifting message and beautiful illustrations. Thank you for corresponding scriptures on the pages. Keep up the great work. So, but when you hear things like that on your book, what's the vibe?
I'm happy. I'm thankful that the message came across as intended. So I can only thank God, because ultimately the greater inspirator is God. Gives the idea. He's one that says that he's one who wills us to do good.
Yeah.
So when a message comes across and people are receiving the attention of the message, it's a good feeling.
Wow, I'm glad about that. So now tell me, Tope, what is next on the horizon, both for this book and for that for any other projects you might be thinking of. So in terms of this book, for instance, is there a book signing somewhere? Is there going to be a book signing somewhere? Is there going to be interviews somewhere? What are we going to be looking for?
Well. Book signing is a good thing. I did it for ABC the Bible Way.
Yeah.
I'm not much of an extrovert, but I'm not sure about
this interview. You're not much of an extrovert.
Look, I'm in my own corner here talking to you through a medium. That's okay. But I think in terms of like interviews, I'm trying to push myself more because I think I was talking to you about this.
Yeah.
That my intention of the Lampley books, is that our book goes out there and reaches the world and touches heart of people, bring people back to Christ, and have a relationship with Christ. Yeah. And if that's my intention, but I'm not willing to put the work it takes, I mean, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? So one of my goals this year is that I do more interviews. So I'm going to outreach, someone I did an interview with, and then from there, see if she can connect me. That's my first step. If I can get connected with other platforms, and also my wonderful Facebook groups. I'll start searching people on like keyword interview and see if whatever that they do, like their platform matches, with what I want to.
That's really important as well.
Yes, so that's what I'm planning to do in terms of putting it out there. Okay. In terms of the book as itself, what I plan to do with it, because to be honest with you, both my ABC, the Bible, and my Day with Jesus, I know there's so much more in it that I need to like milk out, because, for example, ABC, the Bible Way, there's someone that I know, I've never met her physically, but she uses my book as a curriculum in her house, like teaching the alphabet or like I explained to you. So she goes into deeper details. And I feel like if I could just sit down and that part is overwhelming to come up with a curriculum, like teaching kids the alphabet and exercises. Yeah, that part is overwhelming.
Looking at your face already as you're mentioning it.
I tried it once and I gave up. I put pencil down. I was done. I don't know I'm going to come back with that one again. So the other part of it for my Day with Jesus, that I know that when I was writing this thing, that my heart was so much, looking forward to was having a journal to go. Yes. So that one too requires money, because I want my journal to be a little different from just writing, because I want my book to cater to people of all abilities, not just those that can write. So that idea is still down in the pipeline in my head. I've tried to kind of put it out there, like in terms of like to try to draw it myself, but I don't know. By the time I'll take to learn how to draw to when I'll finally get this second idea of this book out, I don't know how many years it's going to take. So between saving money and taking this illustration thing, seriously.
Yeah.
So those are the things down the line.
Okay. Now, because you've actually taken me to my next point. I've got like 2 other questions to ask you, but I wanted to know if there are any plans for a book reading.
Book reading?
Yes. Because you've got. I'll tell you something I would love to see. Now, obviously, this is me probably even stepping out of my zone here, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. But it would be so nice to watch you read the books to kids.
Very, very interesting. I imagine myself.
You've just said yourself you're in a Sunday school group.
I am. I think it's special gifting that's required to read to kids. But you know what? On TikTok now, I'm doing this once a month Thursday thing when I do a read aloud. But the way I'm reading,
I didn't know that. You see, if I hadn't asked you, okay, all right. So please explain yourself.
Those are my sisters, pushing me to do more things. So the idea of that is just to read aloud of my book, and that's the idea I'm thinking now. Not so much necessarily to cater for kids, but read out the book and then like have discussion points of how I can like encourage parents to use this in their daily life, like a resource. Thank you very much for both ABC the Bible Way and even my Day with Jesus. So that's the idea. But my sister suggested that I do read aloud with kids on Zoom. And I'm like, I don't know about that one, but yeah. It's like
You know what I found out? And this
Help
is
me.
just by the way. When
Yes.
things like this happen, when there's a product and you start hearing the way the product can be used by users, pay
Right.
attention. Once a
True.
creator has made a product, the creator had something else in mind, but this is not the first time that something might have been created for one reason only to be used for others. So I try to pay attention when the people I'm interacting with regarding a product
Mm-hmm.
begin to suggest ways in which the product can be expanded. Now, the reason I'm saying this is, for instance, with the K-Touch, you were there from the beginning when I was making just art products. But now,
Right.
from art products, I've taken on podcasts. The idea of a podcast was my brother's idea. He said, why don't you invite people, talk to them about something, and have them write? And now, even while doing it, what somebody else I was talking with on the podcast, then we came to an understanding that he and I connect very well on a different level, and we've now started a different channel, just he and myself.
Are you
Again,
serious?
from
Wow.
somebody else I invited on this podcast, he then said, oh, why don't you have a face-to-face interaction rather than Zoom? And now that's already a process that I'm planning to
Mm.
inculcate in this year. So
That's amazing.
Tope, you're already getting feedback from
Yes, I
users.
am. Mm.
Oh,
Being lazy
Alice
about
in
it.
your court.
It's true. I did imagine. Okay, that's another thing I want to tell you about myself in
Yeah.
terms of like teaching the kids and all that.
Yeah.
Before I was like teaching it, I used to imagine teaching them.
Yeah.
And if you talk about imposter syndrome, I think that's really where I have this thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I have such imagination of how I'm gonna teach them, but I'm like, how am I gonna even teach them?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's one thing I've always struggled with, and I pray about it.
Hmm.
Because I feel like I'm not the person that is like more like, oh, little kids, hey, but I come
But
to
you
realize
know,
that
it's really interesting how believers are. There is no believer, no one that I know that Jesus is working on. I mean this with all sincerity, that will receive a task and say, I
that's
can do it when it comes
yeah,
to me. Most times when they come, they want to run.
right. I just
And
have
then
this
and then they
imagination.
just find out that when they engage in it, they were like, oh, where has this been all my life? It doesn't
Right,
make it easy, but when they finally engage with it, that's when they realize that look, there was something there in the beginning.
right. So yeah, so that's what I have to overcome again. This read aloud. So but like I did plan to do a read aloud with the kids
Okay.
in my church.
Yeah.
To have like a circle time, and
Oh, lovely.
I'm used to them already, and just engage them. And
Nice.
I like to ask questions while I'm reading with
Mm.
them. So that would be yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I plan to
Well,
do that.
nice
That's
one.
about first step. That's the first step. That's
It says, so then, now, I know the last time I had you on my show, we're about to round up now. I hope you're ready with your art. But the last time I had you on my show, you told me about your gardening, and
mm,
our conversation was mainly revolved around that. So,
yeah.
how's that going at the moment? And what do you
Okay.
think? How do you think this recent development with you writing now is going to affect your gardening process?
Very brilliant question, sir. So, I only garden during the summer.
Oh, yes, yes, you
Yeah,
mentioned.
so now we are resting. We're in the resting phase. We'll be resting between now and May.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't do much in the winter. So the winter, so this during this period where I continue off with my illustration piece, my
Oh,
illustration.
lovely.
But now I think I mentioned this to you before like the what I'm encountering now is I don't want to just be copying people and
Hmm.
following tutorials. I want to
Yeah.
like really learn the fundamentals.
Yep.
So before I get started to drawing again, I really want to find a class, that
Mm.
I can take. So that's my next step within this phase.
Okay.
And for gardening, we're going to focus on gardening sometime around Mayish.
Okay.
And we're not going to do direct. We're not going to be doing. Last time I did. I started indoors, then went outdoors. But now
Hmm.
I'm going to focus on just plants I can direct sow.
Okay.
Without that trouble of doing indoors. 'Cause that's a lot of work.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because you've actually answered the question on tea grows, but you've also told us what next is on the horizon. You're going to be looking at a bit more in terms of art itself, trying to learn a bit more about the fundamentals, which I agree with you is very important. And that's actually a bit of what I am going to be doing this season as well. I'm really okay with some kind of art, but I'm now looking at lifestyle art, life art. So I want to start looking at people and objects and animals and actually making art from them. So
Okay.
I've actually I've registered to start going for live drawing sessions.
Okay,
Yeah.
like in person.
Yeah, so people would actually be drawing as well, and then you draw them. The reason is because, like you, I've got the next stage of my work, and so I think that's the next aspect I want to follow. In my mind, I think it's very, very possible. I think I can do it, but I will need somebody. That's the idea of going there physically and drawing. I was told that when I finish my art, then I would receive some feedback on how the art is and how I can improve.
Okay,
And we're all learning.
good.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. Oh, Tope, it's always an amazing thing to have a conversation with.
Same here. Same here. I don't want it to end, but no, life
Oh,
is.
we're going. No, no, no. This is. Thank goodness you said this because the way I just like reinviting people, and I know that there's going to be something else to get you back in. Either it's going to be on how the book is going, or how your channel is growing in terms of you reading. So I cannot wait to. We have to connect this with a follow up interview. I need to know
Sure.
how it's going in terms of you doing the live reading and all of that.
Okay.
Having said all of that, we have
Mm,
come to the end of this show. And you
mm.
know how my show usually ends,
I know.
which is you, you say you revealing your art to
Oh
us.
man.
So, Tope,
Mm. Yes, sir.
please do the honors. What have we made today?
Well, you see, I didn't start on time,
Mm-hmm.
so I just did a sketch really.
Yes,
Well,
I would love to see the sketch you've done.
the issue is always trying to think about what to draw, but this is what I have here.
Oh,
Are you,
Tope,
are
that's
you,
so nice.
hey,
Oh, wow.
I'm very good at psyching people, but go
No,
ahead.
I'm not good at psyching. I say it the way it is. You have Sunday school children, and you know how it is when you have to be encouraging to them.
You
That is
do
real
have to
good
be
art.
encouraging.
Yes. So it's not psyching. So tell me about your art.
Yeah, so this is like a symbolism of my book, my business basically, Lampley Books.
Oh,
And
wait. I didn't know you owned land. Is it your business?
you know what? This is the second person to ask me this question. They ask me where did I publish it. Yeah, it's my it's my business. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. The whole idea of Lampley Books is to instill Christ. The what's it called? Do you call it motto or whatever? Vision.
Hmm.
Instilling Christ in kids is the greatest legacy, or in children is the greatest legacy.
Hmm.
Okay, this is just a drawing of a book, and the title I said was Lampley Books, and there's a
Hmm.
child that's reading it.
Oh, wow. That looks really nice. That's going on my site again. This is your second book
Ah,
art.
this one.
It's
Okay, sir.
definitely going on my site. Sorry, all of the art that is made on this channel, excluding my own anyway, is going
Why?
on
Going to
because
be
I am
hidden.
celebrating. Hello, I am celebrating my guests. It's not
Mhm.
about me. It's about my guests. So I'm
Okay.
celebrating them. So I don't need anyone to celebrate me in that respect. If you want to celebrate
Ah,
me, invite me to your own show. Thank you very much.
okay. You'll be invited soon.
Oh, but seriously, how did you start off lamp books before you started the writing, or was it the reverse?
It's the writing in reverse.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So the writing started, and then there was lamp books. That's really nice. I'm glad we've come to that. Now let me show you my art and the
Mm-hmm.
inspiration behind it. It's not finished, but there's only so much you can do in a short time. So this is my art.
I'm
Now
writing this.
let me explain what this says. I have not finished the app, but it says, Daddy, oh Daddy, teach me how to pray. So this
Nice.
is a daughter with her dad, and her request is basically that she teaches him how to pray, that he teaches her how to pray. And so many times we don't actually think that that is one of the things that our children need. We
Okay.
think about the children need food, they need protection, they need even guidance, but in a lot of other things, how to walk, how to talk. But
Right.
not so many people go into investing how to teach the children to pray.
You're right.
And so your book actually connected with that on with me on that level. And also I remembered a song when I was growing up. It says, "Daddy, oh daddy, teach me how to pray." It's a song that a gospel musician sang in the past, where he was with his son praying, but he was the one praying. And after the prayer had ended, his son still held on to him and asked him, "Can you teach me how
Wow.
to pray like you do?"
Wow.
This also connects me with even scripture where Jesus once came after praying. His disciples, who were even adults, came and met him and said, "Teach us how to pray." And that was how the concept of the Lord's Prayer came out, "Our Father in heaven." So that was what
Right.
your book inspired me to make.
That's beautiful. That's actually the title of another book that you should write. I'm serious. Like that's it. That's it. I even you even have the cover already. That's thing you do right now is just the cover. I'm for real. So that's really good.
Doctor, we can already agree in this conversation that you are more of the writer than I am. So please let us all stick to our strengths. You spoke about calling, you spoke about sticking to your strengths. So please, at this moment, you are stronger in this area than I am. So,
Okay, I hear you.
oh, but it was amazing having you on this show, Tope. As
Thank
always, you've been a blessing. I cannot wait to I've already read the soft copy, but I can't wait to have the hard copy. I'm sure my children are going to love it. I can't wait to read all the updates, watch you attempt to read this to other children to see how that's going to turn out. I can't
Yes,
wait to look at the reviews on the book, and I just can't wait to see how this takes you to the next project. When is the
thank
next
you.
book?
No idea. I've like couple manuscripts, but I don't know.
Stop it! I was only joking. So you
No,
already have a couple of manuscripts.
yeah, actually, I had like two or three, and then I gave it to my authors. Like I told the people that I need to see and ask them, which
Wow!
one of these do you think would go next? Like, which one do you think is ready for going out there? And
I'm
that was
speechless.
it. Yeah.
Wow! Once again, Tope, congratulations on your book.
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to hear all the good things that are coming. Please, audience, get a copy. I'm going to leave a link in the description. Get your copy both for ABC, The Bible Way, and My Day with Jesus, My Everyday with Jesus. Once again, Tope, thank you for coming on this show.
Thank you so much. One thing I was going to say, one last thing is,
Oh, yes, please.
you are interested in publishing children's book, and you just need someone to talk to. You can give them my Gmail.
Oh,
I
oh,
can I
Tope,
can
that's very nice. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
Oh,
You're
you
welcome.
see, you see the kind of people I associate with. You see the caliber of people. Oh, you are just generous. You are.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Definitely. You too.
All
Bye.
right. Cheers now.